Andy Stevenson for Severe MMA. The champ is here. The champ is back. Cage Warriors have announced the main event for Cage Warriors Dublin on Saturday, April 29th. Rhys McKee, the Cage Warriors welterweight champion, will look to unify his title against Judo Jimmy Wallhead, the interim champion, in front of a 3-arena Dublin crowd. And I am joined by the champion today, Rhys McKee. Rhys, firstly, what was your instant reaction to the news going out that or to receiving the news that you'll be fighting Jimmy Wallhead in just a couple of months?
Yeah, happy. I'm ecstatic about it, to be honest. Many a conversation with Cage Warriors, like since I fought Justin, of like, how the division would play out and what would happen. And, as I said to you earlier, Jimmy was one of two names that I was interested in. So when it was his name and he got it done in the interim fight, I was happy that me and him would do it.
How long have you known about the fight?
I mean, I've known I've known since he won that fight that we would probably fight. It was only if something happened in between and I went to the UFC, or if he retired, because I know there was a bit of talk about that. So, but in my head, and to be honest, when I signed, or when I came back to Cage Warriors and I seen that Jimmy Wallhead was coming to Cage Warriors, I had a feeling that we would fight. And again, I'm happy about it. Like, I love the idea of everything about this fight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, heading into your last fight, there was many contenders going on the table. With this one, it makes it a little bit more clear cut when Jimmy wins the interim title. It was a match bound to happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course it has to happen. It's the fight to do. There's only room for one, so let's see who the man is.
Were you impressed? He's obviously Jimmy's 44 fights. He's long in the tooth now in the game. He's fought all over. He's been in the UFC. He's come back out. Came back after 3 years into Cage Warriors off the couch, really. Back to back first round finishes, and obviously picking up the interim title. Have you been impressed by his performances?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. It's like, I'm a fighter's fighter. I like fights. I like action. I like knockouts, and Jimmy's done it all. So yeah, of course. I mean, if I was to sit here and say that I'm not impressed with what he's done, I'd be lying. Of course I'm impressed. And again, like, a part of me is a bit of a fan of Jimmy too. I love the whole story. It's been a perfect fairy tale so far, and what he's done is impressive.
Yeah, we were chatting before. How old were you when Jimmy made his debut?
I was 10. I was 10 years of age.
It's mad.
Yeah, I was in primary school. I would have been in P6, they would call it. So I 10 out of 10. It was crazy. It was a good stat though. It's a fun one to look at.
Would he have been someone that you would have, seen fight kind of coming up in MMA?
Yeah, like I remember I remember watching them cards and stuff. Like I can't, I don't remember watching, the Alex Reed and he had a fight with someone. I don't remember names as such, but I'm pretty confident that I've watched Jim Wallhead back in the day for sure. I remember watching him in the UFC though. I definitely remember that. Um, but like yeah, Jimmy's a legend of MMA. So anybody who's about the scene has watched him.
Exactly. Like, have you crossed paths ever, across the scene?
Not that I know of. Again, it's like it's not something that I've maybe remembered, but we probably have, and I'm sure somewhere across the line. I know he was. I think he's in Bellator cards. I could have been in around there. Who knows? But not to my recollection anyway.
The last time we were speaking was right after your title win back in June. Your face was still stitched up. How is the face now? I know you had a shoulder injury as well that you were dealing with for a while. How's the body? How's the face? I don't see any scars, so it looks like there's no long term.
I have a nasty Velcro burn at the minute, but that's about it. No, the scars have all healed, and the shoulder's fantastic. Done an intensive rehab program. Took longer than I probably could have got away with, but I'm back and it's stronger than ever, and I'm ready to fight again. Which was key. I didn't want to sign a fight and then 3 weeks later realize I'm injured and it was too soon. So, it's been trialed and trialed and trialed and tested, and we're good to go. But the face, yeah, the face has been well tested too. And it's
Yeah.
fine. The cuts are well closed.
Did the shoulder, was that from the last fight, or what was that from?
And no, so it was my first sparring back. Me and Norman were sparring, and it was like a funky takedown. Like I had like a body lock position or whatever way, and I landed on my shoulder, and like it just like dislocated, or it's called an AC joint injury, and basically the collarbone ligaments just snap. So it was a grade 3, which is pretty high in the list. But I escaped surgery, and again just an intensive rehab and being smart. With all this thing, I'm gaining experience, and I'm gaining knowledge on how to treat stuff, and how I dealt with it was the right way.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're back fully healthy. 2022 was an incredible year for you all around, not just in the cage but outside it. Obviously, picking up the title in the fight of the year, one of the best fights. Like I said the last time we were speaking, one of the best fights I've ever seen. But also, you got engaged, you got married. Congratulations! I must say, congratulations to you and Rebecca on your wedding. Buying a house, all these, a huge year for Rhys McKee. How do you reflect on it all?
Yeah, it was a fantastic year. Like, it was a fantastic year. It was like so good. Done all these personal things, had the fight of my life in between. Um, just grew up as a person as well, and had just a real happy year. Like, it's just a really good year. Although it was quiet on the MMA front, I trained all year round. I trained throughout. Even after the injury, which was in August. I done what I could after it and rehabbed, which rehab was again still a form of training. But yeah, I had a strong year, and I improved a lot that year. I improved a lot for the Justin fight. I know that, like, massively improved.
Was the face fully healed by the time the wedding rolled around?
Um, I mean, in the photos, there's a bit of pinkness in the scars, but um,
Ah, that's not too bad.
yeah, it is what it is. It's funny though, because after the fight, I seen the cuts and stuff, and obviously we eloped, so nobody else knew about the wedding. But in my head, I was like, "Oh, I've got these cuts in my face, and I'm getting married in a few months, which is 3 months." But no, it turned out just fine. And you know what? Like the scarring or whatever it would have been, if it was a black eye, it would have been fine. It would have been me. So
Yeah, so you knew heading into that fight that you were eloping.
yeah, I knew, but I couldn't say it to anybody else. So like, yeah, it was funny. I just had to be careful what I said, especially post fight adrenaline. You're lucky you could say anything.
Yeah, and did you get to go on honeymoon at all, or?
And no, we're talking about. I think we're gonna try and go to Bali, but it'll not be before April. Obviously, it'll be after, or maybe towards the end of the year, because I don't know the best season to go.
Yeah,
But all that is still to come.
absolutely. You didn't get the call up to the UFC after the fight. That we were kind of wondering, would it come, would it not come? Were you disappointed not to get back into the UFC after that win?
Yeah, not really. Everything has a silver lining, and the silver lining is I get the headline Dublin, against Jimmy Wallhead. It's my third headline of Cage Warriors. It's um, the first time I'll get the chance to defend the world title. It's probably my favorite arena in the world. As much as I loved Belfast, Free Arena, I cut my teeth in the pro circuit. Like, I've had a lot of fights in the Free Arena. I'm undefeated in that arena, and to come back and headline it is, like, it's special again. So, it's and no, I really wasn't disappointed, and I think you know me well enough, and anybody in the circuit knows I'm not a disappointed person. I'm not like, even with the UFC, I'm not disappointed about anything. I very much ride the wave and go with the flow. I'm a hard person to sicken. I'm a hard person to disappoint, because I don't have that trait in myself. I just come with whatever comes.
You may, I don't know. We'll see if you agree with this or not. But I feel like something like that, like not getting the call, will kind of just add a bit of fuel to your fire.
Oh, for sure. It's like I've nothing to prove. I know I'm world class. I know I'm elite level. Um, it's like I know I'm UFC, Bellator, uh, KS, whatever fight promotion you want to talk. I could slot into the top 10 in the world. So there's no pressure. I know I'm that level, and like, coming out the UFC it's just, to me, it's just proven that I'm world class level. So, whether it's another fight in Cage Warriors, or it was to be the UFC, like, I'm good with it. I'll roll with the punches, and I'm here to fight. And that's first of all. I'm here to fight whatever show it's on.
Did you ever feel a pressure though after getting cut by the UFC to get back, or like is this a new kind of freeing mentality of like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I know where I stand?
I mean, I had a few moments like I remember before the Mantakiwi fight, and like let's say this in the most respectful way as possible. Mantakiwi, he's not really in contention for world titles or anything like that. I knew a loss there would have been very hard to swallow. I knew that, and that was only on my mind. Like it wasn't even really on my mind, but I kind of knew it was there, but it didn't affect me. So it's kind of hard to say it, but I knew I had a conscious part of my mind that knew if a loss to Mantakiwi would have been very, very hard to come back from. But like no, I've never had this moment where like, am I good enough? Am I this? I know my level. I know under the bright lights I am a hard person to second. I am, the best of the best under the lights. Um, so like no, like I never really did get second, and even if Mantakiwi did beat me in some way, I'm sure we'd still be having these similar conversations.
Did you ever get close? Like, were there any conversations with the UFC afterwards? Did it come close at any point?
After Burlinson,
Yeah,
yeah, we know we have a setup. We know what's going to happen.
there's a plan.
Yeah, there's a plan. There's a plan. It's very confirmed, and it's yeah, like there's a plan. But the plan's been the same plan as it was an amateur. It's keep winning fights. Doing your thing, keep finishing people. I know the UFC want me. We've had this discussion. There has to be room. Would it be London? Who knows? Will it be after this? Who knows? It's like, but I really don't mind. Like, there's people to fight. Jimmy's here. Jimmy's keen. I'm keen. There are belts to unify. We're in Dublin with a hell of an arena, so let's do it. Like the UFC will always be there. And again, I'm in a hell of a position. Like this is the best position I've ever been in my career. Cage Warriors have been very, very good to me. So I'm very happy.
100%. What does Rodney think of this matchup?
Yeah, loves it too. He knows how I tick. He knows, like, if Cage Warriors came to me with someone, let's say a smaller record, less than 10 fights, um, maybe deserving of a title shot, but like not a name like myself or Jimmy or you know, like he knows the bigger the name, the bigger the stakes, the bigger the nights, the bigger like the more experience. He knows that's how I tick. Like when I fought John Redmond in my first pro fight, he was 9 and whatever. He had 16 or something pro fights. Like my eyes lit up. I was wheel eyed. That like I just knew he just knew I wanted it. So he knows this is what I'm made for. I'm not made to fight like the fights that no one cares about. I'm not made for prelims. I'm made to fight the ones where like flip me like Rhys is fighting your man there. Like this is going to be tough. That's exactly what I'm for. So Rodney's as much for as I am, of course.
You referenced there, you cut your teeth in the three arena. You've had great experiences there. You won the BAMA title against Joy Herbert. What was that, 2016? Your last fight, I think, in the three arena was against Richie Smullen, the draw. What are you expecting from the fight night?
From the fight night and not the fight.
Yeah, for the event, what are you expecting?
Yeah, it's gonna be mayhem. It's gonna be hectic. I have a job to do. And it's very much it's very much play the game, not the occasion. And I learned that in Belfast. A good friend of mine told me this. It was like, you play the game, but you don't play the occasion. It's not, as much as it's going to be hectic in Belfast. Let's use it for example. Like it was it would have been very easy to go with the show and get into the fans and although I did after, like before you could have soaked into the story too much and before you know it that Justin would have ran away with things. So like the same as in Dublin, it's going to be mad, it's going to be loud, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be a lot of people wanting to be a part of it, but like it's very much business inside the cage, and the whole show and that is Dublin will be magical, but that's for after the fight.
Do you think, and I hope my hope is the answer is no. Do you think Paul Hughes will be on the card?
No, I don't believe he will be. Yeah, I don't believe he will be. I'm not certain, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not certain. I haven't spoke to Paul in a week or two, but I don't believe he will be.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. It's like I would love to see, obviously love to see him on the card. It would be, the card would be better for him, but I'm hoping he's UFC bound. Are there any the guys that you be training with up north? Do you expect any of those guys to be on at the Fight Academy guys?
Um, I know they're trying, but like I know you have Paddy McCrory and I know Paddy's trying to get on it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Matthew Elliott's trying to get on it. Like, yeah, I would imagine so. Like, it's in Ireland. They have a fighter main event in it. I'm pretty sure that the people are going to be attached, wanting their piece of it too. So fingers crossed for everyone. And if I have any pull and be a main event, then I'll try and do my part and speak to Ian. But
dragging them in, yeah. I mean, like I think a guy like you mentioned, Paddy there. His last fight, he went up and on short notice and stepped in against James Webb. So I would hope whatever Paddy wants is for his next matchup or the location, that he gets really, because you scratch my back, I scratch yours.
so many times, like Paddy will likely be my main training partner for this fight. Like Paddy is a monster. Like I can't express it enough. Like although like it wasn't like how he fought James Webb is not saying he fought that wrong or anything, but like he fought James Webb on his first fight for Cage Warriors. Like it's crazy. The guy had a world title, and but Paddy's the makings of beating him. Experience all comes into play. But yeah, Paddy will get his turn again, and he'll turn heads for sure.
The last fight was obviously an insane war. What type of fight are you expecting against Jimmy this time?
Yeah, like is the makings to be the same fight. I don't really technically want to win fight of the year next year again. As much as I love fight of the year, I'm after performances and fighters of the year. Like fight of the year is nice. Yeah, it's fun. It's good for the fans, but I'm not looking to go to a hospital in Dublin for stitches. I'm looking for a nice clean performance here. But it has the makings of a classic for sure. But I think the classic will be in the way I write it, and I don't believe it's going to be the similar fight to me and Justin.
And then, going into this camp, you've 3 months here. What does the camp look like for you? Is it a case of, is the majority of your training in next gen and then the sparring in Fight Academy Ireland, is it crossover, or how does that work? I know they're both very integral parts of your fight prep.
Yeah, so like at the minute I'm in Ballymena, and I'm taking over. I've been back to training now for about 6 weeks. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm still just taking over and getting good sessions and starting to get the weight down a wee bit, and taking over in that front. And then once we get to that 12-week mark, it's all go. But I very much use Ballymena and Belfast, or Ballymena and Fight Academy Ireland, and I'm in both places as much in the week. So I plan also to maybe get to over some other gyms for sparring this time and bring some guys in. I know Fight Academy Ireland have a lot of pros from middleweights and welterweights all meeting up at the minute. So some of the names that we have, I know like James Sheehan's coming up. I know Andreas Binder's coming up. There's a lot of people coming up at the minute and talking about coming up. So it's very exciting. Again, I'm in a great place for my training camp. Everybody's just on par, knows what we need, knows what we want, and we're all chasing for April.
Yeah, that's great to hear. It's great to hear the cross training and kind of the Irish fighters, helping each other out really. Looking at the matchup, give us an early prediction.
I just think I just think it's a different time. It's a different era. I know how the game's evolved. I am the evolution of the game. I just see my pressure and pace being too much. I don't think age plays a part like everybody says it does. I think it's very much two experienced fighters coming head to head. And I just think with the changing of the time, and maybe in the next generation of martial arts, I just can't see. I don't come in linear lines. I have too many different patterns. It's too offset, and it's too different rhythms. I think it's just the game's evolved too much, evolutionized. I just think it'll be too much.
Rhys, I'm absolutely buzzing for this main event. I'm buzzing for the cards. I think it's brilliant that there's not only just cage. Well, it's brilliant that Cage Warriors are back in Ireland, number one, and that so many shows are now investing in Ireland. 2023, you had an amazing 2022. How does your 2023 play out in an ideal world?
A better ideal world. I fight Jimmy here. Fight Jimmy. I run off to the UFC, and then I have another fight. I want 3 fights this year. But if not, if I beat Jimmy here, I'll defend once more and then go to the UFC. If not, then I defend, until I get to the UFC again, that is my year. I will fight 3 times in 23. But right now it's April 29th, and Jimmy is first. And the best way to start a perfect year is to have a perfect performance in April 29th.
You said the date, April 29th, Saturday, April 29th. Cage Warriors returns to Dublin's 3 Arena. Tickets go on sale to the general public this Friday, the 20th of January. You'll be able to catch it all on UFC Fight Pass. I'm sure we'll be chatting to Rhys again on SevereMMA ahead of the fight. Best luck with training camp. Hopefully Dermot Kennedy at some point gets onto you. I don't know if he will, but maybe this time.
This man, he's taking a break from music, I hear too. We're going to see him in Limerick in July. So I'll make enough noise in April that when we get to July, he'll have to call me up on stage, and I'll just do a cover. I'll take over.
There you go, 3 Arena walkout. That's the dream. Make it happen. Rhys, appreciate the time as always. You're a gent. Thank you very much, and best of luck in April.